Hey everyone, it's your boy Kaiser back again with another challenge run. On today's episode, we have a nice little Randomizer Nuzlocke of Pokemon Black 2. The rules are pretty simple. As per traditional Nuzlocke, I can only catch the first Pokemon of each new route, and if a Pokemon faints, it dies permanently and can no longer be used for the rest of the game. I have randomized all trainers and wild Pokemon and increased their levels by 20% to create an absolute shit show, but I'm excited to show you guys my journey throughout the Unova region. Also, I do have the battle style on set to make it a little bit more difficult. One thing that I've changed up a bit in this new year is the style of video that I'll be doing. Unlike my past ones, this is actually going to be scripted, so it's going to flow a lot better than the previous ones have. So if you guys like how this video turns out, I'd appreciate it if y'all subscribe to the channel if you want to see more challenges and me suffering through. I give this spiel every video, I know, but it really does help. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the video. Now, like any other game, we get introduced to our professor and choose our character's gender. As usual, I picked the female character Rosa and awakened in Aspertia City. We get introduced to our revenge-obsessed rival Hugh, more on that later. Then we run into Bianca from the first game, who is now the assistant of Professor Juniper. She gives us our starter, which is usually the standard Snivy, Tepig, or Oshawott. However, we have a few different options with this randomizer. The options given to us this time are a Clefairy, a Staravia, both of which are pretty decent, but the third option is a Thundurus. And you know, the second I saw that, without a second thought, I pick up the legendary Force of Nature. I name it 0 and then proceed to have my first rival battle. Hugh picked up Staravia, and the level increase is already present with it being level 6 instead of level 5. I knock him out, do the catching tutorial with Bianca on route 19, and pick up my first encounter, which is a Volbeat. Not the best thing ever, but at least I have some cannon fodder now. I make my way to Flocesi Town, no idea how to pronounce that by the way, where I meet Alder, the previous champion. He tells me he saw Hugh on route 20, so I make my way out there, capturing a Dewott along the way. Hugh has made his way to Flocesi Ranch, where the owners have seemed to have lost a herdier of theirs. While we are out looking for the herdier, I pick up a Swoobat and add it to my team. So far, besides the Volbeat, I've been pretty lucky. It turns out that a grunt of Team Plasma was attempting to steal the herdier, but we chased him off. Hugh hates Team Plasma for taking his sister's Purloin from her years ago, so needless to say, he flips his lid. We return the herdier and head all the way back to Aspertia, where we are told by Alder to take on the Pokemon gym there. We clear out the trainers and run into our first real roadblock of the challenge. The Aspertia gym leader is none other than Charon, our other rival from the first game. Now by this point, all my Pokemon, minus Volbeat, are levels 11 and 12. He leads with a level 13 Crawdaunt, and I lead with Swoobat. I immediately swap to Thundurus and take out Crawdaunt. He brings out his ace, which thankfully ends up being a level 15 Shelmet. I heal up Thundurus and knock out the Shelmet with another Thundershock, defeating Charon. We get the basic badge and the TM workup from him. Next we head back to Route 20, which connects to the next town. However, this is where tragedy strikes. I run into a fracture and my dumbass completely forgot about one certain move, Dragon Rage. And of course my Swoobat has to have exactly 40 HP, so rest in peace to my libido. You will be missed. After recovering from that loss, I make my way to Verbank City, where I meet Roxy, the gym leader. Before I tackle her gym though, I pop my head into the Verbank complex to get a new encounter and some levels while I'm there. Unfortunately my encounter is just a Feebas, so it's kind of useless to me right now. Even worse is losing my starter to a Scrafty by missing an Uproar and then taking a Fade attack. Uproar's got an accuracy of 95, so it's just my luck that I miss. So I realistically only have one decent Pokemon to fight against Roxy with, Dewott. I get Dewott up to level 22, and then start the gym battle. Roxy, by some sheer luck, has a level 19 Torkoal, who gets brought down to half health by one Razor Shell. Roxy then switches to her ace, a level 21 Vaporeon. The Vaporeon exclusively spams Water Pulse, which still does a decent chunk after resisting it. I'm glad I have plenty of potions, because I use Leer a lot, and then I break through the multiple confusion attempts to finish it off with a tackle. Torkoal comes back out, and I deal with it quickly and get the Toxic Badge and Venoshock for defeating Roxy. A pain in the ass, but I stole my way to a W. Before I can take a boat to Cresselia City, I have to convince Roxy's dad, a captain, to give up on his dreams of becoming a movie star. After crushing both his hopes and dreams, and a few Team Plasma grunts with the help of Hugh, I make my way into Cresselia and start exploring. Well, to be specific, the first thing I do is go into Route 4 to get an encounter, because I desperately need one. The next team member I get is a Kingdra, which does not help with my typing issue, but it's a strong Pokemon regardless. I head into the Battle Company to pick up the EXP share, and to help get my Kingdra some levels. Some of the trainers do give me issues though. One has a Ferrothorn that I had to sack my Volbeat and Feebas so I could keep my Dewott alive. It sucks that my fodder is dead, but it is what it is. I clear out the rest of the Battle Company, and then explore Cresselia a bit more for some items and whatnot. We run into a girl named Iris, who talks about a Team Plasma Grunt that is loose in the city. It turns out he escaped into the sewer, so we go down there with Hugh. Hugh teams up with us, so that means all encounters will be double battles, and they will heal our Pokemon after every fight. I use this as a reason to grind my Kingdra's level, but Hugh kills my encounter in the sewer. Bastard. Regardless of that, we make our way to the back, defeat Team Plasma, and get HMO4 strength from Berg, the gym leader of Cresselia. Hugh and I split, and I continue into Relic Passage to pick up a Dugong for my encounter. I also head above ground in the sewers to pick up another encounter in the form of Meloetta, which I'm kinda surprised I ran into. And caught for that matter. Now my team is 4 Pokemon strong, but that unfortunately will not last long. I say this because up next is the gym. The trainers don't give me any problems, but Berg is a different beast. Berg leads with a level 26 Kricketune, to which I lead with Dewott. I knock it out in 2 water pulses, but Dewott is dangerously low on HP. Next comes his ace, a level 29 Victory Bell. I am terrified of this thing, considering half my team is weak to it. I heal up Dewott, just for it to get one shot by a Razor Leaf. I thought Dewott could at least take one of those, but I guess not. I try my Dugong next, but it suffers from the same fate. I try to put it to sleep with Meloetta and then spam Confusion. I should have expected this, but Meloetta gets taken out as well, and I am left with just one Pokemon, Kingdra. Thankfully, I'm able to kill it while barely holding on with 7 HP. Next is Berg's last Pokemon, Snorlax, at level 26. Chip Away does about 1/3 to Kingdra, so I have a chance to heal up every other attack. My plan here was to spam Smokescreen until Snorlax started missing, then spam Bubble Beams. Surprisingly this worked, and I beat Berg while clinging on for dear life. I get the Insect Badge and Struggle Bug from him, deposit my Fallen Warriors into the PC, and head on. With that tragedy aside, I am able to make my way towards Nimbasa City. Before I reach Nimbasa, however, I have a couple of things I need to take care of. First being our first fight with Colress. I only have a Kingdra to my name, so here's hoping everything goes right. He leads with a Starly, which is easy pickings for me, but up next is his Quagsire, which I really have to watch out for. I have no choice but to use Twisters on it, due to its water absorbability. Twister is the only real damaging move I have right now, and Bubble Beam can't be used because of water absorb. I make it out barely with 4 HP, nearly shitting myself. At least now I can head over to the Desert Resort and the Relic Castle, where I can get 2 more encounters, and do a bit more leveling. My first encounter is a Garchomp, which I am able to capture, so thank God I've got some power on my team. My Relic Castle encounter is a Mudkip, so not much type variety, but I will take a Marshtomp any day. After leveling up my new members a bit, I make my way into Nimbasa. Before doing anything though, I head to Route 5 to get 2 more encounters. My Route encounter and my Hidden Grotto static encounter. My Hidden Grotto ends up being a Raichu, which means I finally have some type coverage. My Route 5 encounter is a Joltik, which I put on the back burner for now, but he's still in the team regardless. My Route 16 encounter is an Espeon, so my team is finally recovering from the Cresselia fatalities. Maybe I spoke too soon, because while I was training, I lost my poor Marshtomp to a trainer's Samurott, one-shotting me with a critical Razor Shell, and my Garchomp to a Kyurem's Ice Beam. The second one was completely my fault in overestimating my Garchomp's power, so I replaced it with the Lostlorn Forest encounter I got in Hippowdon. After getting all my team to around level 30, I'm ready to take on the Nimbasa gym and its leader, Elisa. She is up there next to Cynthia and Lucamine, some of my favorite Pokemon characters. Maybe I've just got a thing for blondes or something, or maybe I'm just in a constant state of down bad. Putting that aside, I lead my fight with Elisa with a Raichu, and she sends out her level 33 Stunfisk, so nothing that scary. I taught my Raichu Focus Blast before, so I use that to take out the Stunfisk. Next, she sends out her Ace, a level 36 Meryl, which gets one-shot by Thunderbolt. Lastly is her Arcanine, which I swap into Kingdra just to get roared back into Raichu, so I decide to just stay in and Thunderbolt spam until it dies. I'm able to win the match against Elisa, pick up the Bolt Badge, and pick up the TM for Volt Switch. Finally, I have a gym leader that does not destroy my entire team to shreds. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it. Finally, I can make my way through Route 5 towards Driftvale. But I have to fight my way through the legendary Heartbreaker Charles and his rotation battle format. I get slight PTSD from the Scrafty and almost lose my Kingdra. But I come out somewhat unscathed. I cross the bridge and get hit with the best music this game has to offer, hands down. Yes, it is better than Iris's champion theme, and I will die on this hill. Anyways, we learn that Team Plasma has a subgroup of rebels that want to stop the new Team Plasma led by Rude, one of the 7 sages from the first game, and by extension, N. Rude gives us a Zorora to keep after we beat his lackluster team, which I thought was going to be random, but I guess not, so I throw it in the box as a backup plan. Then I go and get my Route 6 encounter, which ends up being a Graveler. With all the housekeeping taken care of, I can tackle Clay's gym. I've been relatively lucky with all gym trainers so far, thank God, and this trend continues in this gym. I am able to reach Clay without any deaths. I lead against Clay, what I consider my ace at this point, Kingdra. So far this guy has brought me back from near death a few times, so definitely my favorite of the team. Clay leads with a level 37 Whirlipede, which is 5 levels above my highest mon. Still, it doesn't offer me that much of a problem, as I'm able to 3-shot it with a Bubble Beam. His next Pokemon, a level 37 Linoon, is a bit tankier, so it takes more Bubble Beams, and the Linoon retaliates with Fury Swipes. Still, I'm able to knock it out with 30 HP left. Last is his ace, a level 39 Unknown. I swap to Espeon and hope and pray that his hidden power is not very effective. I really lucked out in this situation, and it turns out that the hidden power is not very effective against Espeon, so I was able to take it out. I beat Clay, pick up the Quake badge, and the TM for Bulldoze. I head out the gym with our next destination being the World Tournament. I'm basically being forced to participate in it through Clay, Charon, and Hugh. But it's really not that big of an issue for me because every single Pokemon in this entire area is level 25. There is no experience to be won here though, so that's the only thing to notice. Because of the Pokemon's relatively low levels compared to ours, I'm able to breeze through Hugh, Charon, and Chorus's teams. After winning the tournament, we chase a Team Plasma member south to a ship that just happens to be running by, where we have a gauntlet of grunts to fight alongside Charon and Hugh. After defeating enough of the grunts, Zinzolin, one of the 7 sages, allying with the new Team Plasma, rears his big ass head in, and we get escorted off the ship by the Shadow Triad. Before moving on, I make my way through the Relic Passage entrance here, not for an encounter because we already got one, but for the static Volcarona at the back of the Relic Castle. It's too bad it ends up being a Cluffer, but I caught it nonetheless. I've decided to use that Joltik I caught, as well as the Graveler, because I did a little bit of an oopsie against the Wild Kyurem with my Hippowdon. Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. Right? That's how that goes? I thought the level difference was enough, but my dumbass got Ice Beamed again. Thankfully though, RNGesus does show some pity on me, as when I pick up the Deerling encounter from the research lab on Route 6, it ends up being a Darkrai. So I think I'll take that as a trade. I head into Chargestone Cave and get a Prinplup as my encounter, so I'm back to a full 6-team party for now. That was until about halfway through when I ran into an Ace Trainer triple battle where I lost my Raichu to a double team of Whiscash and Slowking. I knew having a full loadout was too good to be true, because then I lost my Espeon as a sacrifice to be able to take down a level 40 Mantine, and lost my fodder Graveler as well. So after exiting Chargestone Cave, I was down to just Darkrai, Galvantula, and Kingdra. I swear, every time I play somewhat decently, I get cocky, and overconfidence bites me right in the ass. Anyways, with that now behind us, we are finally in Milstratton City. As per tradition, I get my Route 7 encounter before I do anything. I'm able to pick up a Hitmonchan, and added the Prinplup from earlier, so now I have a pretty decent team. I just gotta level them up a bit. While trying to climb the Celestial Tower though, I lost my now evolved Empoleon, and the encounter I just got there, Grumpig. So once again I'm down to a 4 Pokemon team. At least the one positive thing is my team is floating between level 38 and 40 now. I swear this level increase has destroyed me more than I thought it was going to. I feel confident enough to give Skylar's gym a shot at this point. Continuing the trend, the trainers are easy, but let's just hope the same can be said for Skylar. She leads with a level 44 Raichu, as if she's rubbing my L in my face. I swap from Hitmonchan to Galvantula for that sweet resistance. My Signal Beam is a 3-shot and her Thunderbolt is a 4-shot. So I have the upper hand, especially with my supply of Moo Moo Milks. I destroy the Raichu and she sends in a level 46 Kingdra of her own. This feels like I'm fighting myself. I heal up to full, but in comes a Hydro Pump, which unexpectedly OHKOs my Galvantula. I try using Hitmonchan for its Ice Punch, that doesn't work out, so I swap out to the mirror matchup. My Kingdra is 6 levels lower, but I'm able to tough it out with enough potions. She then sends in her last Pokemon, a level 44 Shelgon. I heal up Kingdra, and it anticlimactically knocks it out with a crit Twister. I now get the Jet Badge and Acrobatics at the cost of 1 Galvantula. Next we hop on an aeroplane, because the Twist Mountain entrance is currently blocked off. The plane drops us off at Lentimas Town, which really does not have anything for us, so we persevere onwards, with our end goal being Opaloosid City. We head towards Reversal Mountain, grabbing an encounter along the way. And boy is this a hard-hitting one. Cobalion pops his head through the grass, and I'm able to snag him and add this badass to the team. Rocking 2 legendaries ain't bad at all. I feel like having a team of 4 has kind of been my curse this run. Anyways, with Cobalion, Darkrai, Hitmonchan, and Kingdra in hand, I go inside the Strange House to the right of Reversal Mountain in order to get one more team member, that being a Sock. And yes, I have 0 regrets about his nickname. Anyways, now that we're inside Reversal Mountain, this place becomes a breeze, an easy experience because of Bianca teaming up with us, and healing our Mons after every battle. I am easily able to make my way through the mountain into Undella Town. Undella Town has a lot of places for us to explore nearby. You can go north or south to get new encounters, but be warned, if you go north, you'll run into a rival battle with Hugh. Hugh starts off with a level 46 Slowking, but immediately swaps into his level 49 Ace Staraptor. I answer in tune with my Ace. Kind of. I felt kinda bad, but I'm only able to beat the Staraptor because of Brave Bird's recoil. I heal spam until I feel comfortable, destroying the rest of its HP with a Surf. I picked up the HM for Surf back on Route 6. The Slowking comes back in and I swap to Darkrai. Hugh cowardly swaps back again, this time to a level 46 Chinchou that gets pummeled by Focus Blast. Slowking pops in for a final time to meet his Vanatech demise, and I'm done with this phony. Next on the agenda is to go on an encounter gaining spree. I start with a Swellow I get from surfing in Undella Town. Men of culture will appreciate my naming sense. On Route 14 I pick up a Remoraid, which is whatever. I however have an awful time when I lose my Hitmonchan to a Typhlosion, paralyzed and on 1 HP. I'm absolutely livid. Rest in peace to my boy Chucky. He didn't deserve to lose like this. Losing Hitmonchan kinda gave me a realization that, oh yeah, I have both Surf and Fly, so that means I can go back and get some encounters in cities with water in them. And yes, I know I could have gotten the good rod or the old rod, but semantics. So first I head back to Verbank and pick up a Vanillux at level 15, so I'll need some TLC, but it'll be worth it. I go back home to Aspertia and grab myself an Absol, who's in the exact same situation as Vanillux. Moving on to Route 13, I pick up one last encounter for now, and that's a Mienshao. So my bench has some serious firepower. At the end of the same route, I ran into my first one of the legendary trio, Cobalion. By Cobalion I mean it's just a Combi. At least I got the C and the O correct, so close enough. At least the good thing is, it's level 45, which is higher than anything else I have right now. And it's a female Combi, so that means it can evolve into a Vespiquen if I need it. Next I reach Lacunosa Town, I hope I pronounced that right, which is about as uneventful as Lentimas Town was, save for learning some narrative about the story. But who cares about that stuff? Well, I guess there's also a double battle with Hugh against a Team Plasma Grunt and Zinzolin himself. That fight went by super easily without any problems at all for either of us. Zinzolin and the Grunt just focus fired on Hugh, which made my life easier. Just to quickly recap, I've added both the Swellow and the Vanillux to my party, bringing the total up to 6 once again. I just love raising death flags, don't I? I pick up my Route 12 encounter, which is a Wartortle, which makes me realize that I have had every second form water starter except for a Croconaw, so that's pretty cool. Well, at least it was until I got my Cobalion critted by a discharge, none other than my favorite Pokemon, Jolteon. Ugh, mixed feelings of pride and sadness swelled up inside of me, but with that aside, I replaced the real Cobalion with the fake one, and I stick my nose to the grindstone for a bit, until I feel in a good enough position to make my way to the village bridge. It's a cool town that isn't a town because of the grass and trainers, but it's got some dope ass music. I get to groove while leveling and picking up an encounter in the Mothin, so I'm doing pretty hunky-dory. But as usual, all my joy dissipates into thin air when I run across the first trainer on Route 11, which just so happens to be a Flareon that crits my Darkrai with a Fire Blast. Seriously, what is with the evolutions critting and killing my team? At least my next encounter made up for it in a hilarious way, because it was none other than Darkrai's counterpart, Cresselia. The rest of that route didn't give me any problems, not even the Virizion static. I mean, I won't say no to a level 45 Miltank. I finally reached my destination of Opelucid City, but as usual I ignore everything so I could pick up another encounter on Route 9, this being a Garbodor. It's trash, but I'll take it. Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum-bum. I attempt to level up the Cresselia on both the route trainers and the gym trainers, which in theory and in practicality is an awful idea. The gym really made me realize how underleveled my team is. The Pokemon here at this gym average from about 52 to 54, and my team's highest level Pokemon is level 48. There's also a rotation and a triple battle, so it's a lot scarier than all of the other gyms have been. Thankfully, my luck with the gym trainers has been strong, and it's still strong here. A lot of the gym trainers only have first 4 Mons. Despite my lack of levels, I attempt to take on Draydon. He opens up with his level 55 Lumineon, and I lead with Sock. He uses Bounce, so I swap to my bulky Cresselia. After I heal, Lumineon U-turns into a level 55 Carnivane. I attempt to raise my special attack with a Charge Beam, but Power Whip does too much damage, so I swap out to my Vespiquen. Vespiquen 2-shots Carnivine with Bug Buzz, and out comes Lumineon again. So I go back out into Cresselia again. It, however, decides to U-turn into its ace, a level 57 Petlil. Petlil cannot do anything to my Cresselia, so I use it as an opportunity to Charge Beam spam and raise my special attack. Once it's at a level that I feel comfortable with, I hit it with an Aurora Beam, and with my special attack at least +2, I'm able to 2-shot the Lumineon with Psychic, grab the Legend Badge, and the TM for Dragon Tail. Now I have 7 badges under my belt, just 1 to go. But before we can do that, we have a bit of an interruption in the form of Team Plasma. When I was a kid, this scene just hit different. We have a mid-game cutscene. It feels weird in a Pokemon game at this point in time. Of course, modern games are different, but I'm talking about how it felt back in 2012. In a floating ship, Team Plasma uses an ice cannon to turn all of Opelucid City into ice. It then gets attacked by Team Plasma, so Draydon and I go around clearing up Team Plasma members. Until yet again I have to fight against Zinzolin. He leads with a Farfetch, and I swap to my Vanillix and Ice Beam it. After that he sends out a Mamoswine, so I swap to Kingdra. Mamoswine uses Thrash, so I heal spam until it gets confused. Then I take it out with a Surf. Last he sends out Gastrodon, which I tried to defeat with Kingdra and Cresselia, but both weren't doing very much damage, so I decided to go into Sock, thinking I could kill it with a CC. I almost do, but not quite enough. It gets into the red, and the defense drop was enough for the Gastrodon to one-shot me with Muddy Water. I swap into Swellow to take it out quickly with Aerial Ace as I outspeed it. At least I have a Mienshao in the back to replace my Sock. Farewell to the brave Ondees. Sock Ondees, you'll never be forgotten. I'm not done losing stuff though, as the last person I have to fight is one of the Shadow Triad. He has a level 55 Drapion that ends up becoming my mortal enemy, because of a few things. So first of all, turn 1, it decides to crit my Vespiquen with a Night Slash. Not the worst loss in the world, but it still sucks. Next I try to double team spam, against my better judgment. Normally I would not double team spam, but this is the only kind of thing I could think of to do. It worked, and out came his Grimer. I must be the unluckiest man alive, because he's able to land a critical gunk shot with my evasion almost at max and kill my Swellow. I am big sad about this. But Kingdra finishes off the Grimer. Out comes his finisher, his own Sock, which feels like he's just rubbing it in my face. I stay in, tank a close combat, land a crit Surf, so at least I get a little bit of my luck back. I add Garbodor and Absol to my team and grind to around level 54. So as there's nothing else I can do regarding Team Plasma right now, I make my way to the 8th gym. To get there, you have to take the Marine Tube that's in Undella, which connects directly to Humalao City. I grab a couple of encounters while I'm there, which is a Probopass in Humalao, a Druddigon in Route 21, a Golduck in Seaside Cave, and a Corsola in Undella Bay. I clear out the local trainers as well, and then I confront the gym. Even though they're all ace trainers, I ran through one last time without so much as a dent on my team. Then I have a Brawl with who is effectively a combination of Crash Awake and Brawly. The gym leader with the least personality in this generation. Marlon leads with his level 58 Flaffy, which gets critted by Mienshow's Drain Punch, so that's nice. However, I do get hit by Static, so Mienshao is not paralyzed. So against his next Pokemon, a level 58 Xatu, I swap out into Absol. Even though Xatu did get a proc from Ominous Wind, it isn't enough to stop the power of a Night Slash, and it falls in 2 hits. Lastly out comes out his Ace, which is kind of poetic. It's a level 61 Patrat. So the final Pokemon from the final gym leader is the first Pokemon that you can normally catch. That's so poetic. But it's a Patrat, so Absol makes short work of it. I beat Marlon, gain the Wave Badge, and possibly the best TM I could have gotten here, which is Scald. Base 80 with the chance of burn, oh so good. And with that, I've beaten all the gym leaders. The only things left for me are finishing off Team Plasma and beating the Elite Four. Before I move on, I get 3 last encounters. A Chansey on Route 22, an Obama Snow in the Giant Chasm, and my final legendary static encounter in Terrakion, which ends up being just a Timple. I'm feeling very comfortable with a good team and some fire backup in the box right now. We now have to go through the right exit of Seaside Cave to deal with our first problem, Team Plasma. We get one more static encounter in a Wild Crustle that is a dupe of Mudkip, but I still catch it anyway. I make my way into the Plasma Frigate, where there's a metric fuck ton of grunts to fight. Thankfully there's a rest bed in one of the rooms, so that'll help out. The end goal here is to unlock 6 switches that leads to the center of the ship. And when we reach the center, guess who we have to fight again? It's none other than Zinzolin and a grunt double battle with Hugh. Again! Anyways, the only scary point of this battle is when Zinzolin whipped out his level 60 Tornadus. It focused on Hugh's team yet again, so I make out scot-free. The Plasma Frigate kicks us off and takes off towards the Giant Chasm, so of course that's where we have to go next. Something that is pretty obvious here, but I thought I'd just explain, is that for some reason, my footage for the last parts got warped. So a bit of the bottom screen is on the top, and the top got cut off a bit at the bottom and the left, as you can plainly see here. Unfortunately, there's not really anything I can do about that, and I noticed it way too late into my editing process, so I apologize for that, guys, but thankfully it's only for the last little bit of the game. So with that aside, I make my way through the Giant Chasm, run into an icy forest looking place. In the icy forest place, we get stopped by a ton of Team Plasma members, but the old and technically good Team Plasma comes to our aid so we can break through and make our way back on the frigate. Like before, we have a puzzle to solve where we need to reach the middle of the moving floating platforms that will shift when you step on a pressure plate. It's very similar to the Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness Gation port area. Once we make it through, we have a password to enter into a machine. If we enter the correct password, that will lower the electric barrier and allow us to move on. For us, the password was 2202, but it could be any combination of 1101, 2202, 3303, and so on and so forth up until 9909. I did forget to mention one thing though, you do need a plasma card, which is dropped by one of the grunts. Mine was in the bottom left on the lower area, but I'm not sure if that changes per run through of this game. After we get past the electric gate, I have one last fight with Zinzolin. They could have used different 7 Sage members, I swear. Anyways, he leaves with the Vibrava, which dies to 2 Psychics from Cresselia. Next is his Bouffalant, which I switch into Mienshao to one-shot it with a Drain Punch. Last is a Swablu, so I just Drain Punch twice and beat Zinzolin. Very simple fight. Kyurem is chilling out in a holding cell right behind Zinzolin, but unfortunately there's nothing that we can do for it right now, so we have to move on. The next fight we have is our third and final fight with Colress, who we learn is a member of Team Plasma. He opens up with a Snover, so I do a bit of damage with Cresselia and then swap into Kingdra. Kingdra drops it low, which procs a full restore from Colress. I just use a couple of Dragon Pulses and that takes Snover down. Next is this Haxorus, which is rather scary, but thankfully I have a Vanillix now, so it goes down to a single Ice Beam. Next comes in Golduck. I swap into Absol and I almost get one shot, but I'm able to Night Slash it and kill Golduck. Next is Carnivane, who I use Garbodor for. One Gunk Shot is all I need. Finally move on to his last Mon, which is a Furret. I stay in and Gunk Shot, but that doesn't do too much. Regardless, I stay in and I spam Gunk Shot until it dies, and we beat Chorus. We finally make our way to the back of the ship, where the Mastermind Ghetsis lurks. We can't fight him yet, because we first have to go through a little gauntlet of the 3 Shadow Triad members. Also, it turns out that one of the Shadow Triad members stole Hugh's sister's Purloin years ago, and now it has become a Liepard. Hugh doesn't know how to feel, but that sounds a whole lot like not my problem, so let the gauntlet commence. First Triad member has a Raichu, Togepi, and a Cascoon. Basically, the Raichu is the only threat here, and even then he's not that bad to deal with. The second member is rocking a Blitzel, a Hypno, and a Tornadus. Blitzel was a breeze, but the other two were a little bit more difficult to deal with. Ultimately, no fatalities here though. The final member leads with a Hitmonchan, and goes into a Probopass, and then a Yamask. Zero issues with this fight, so I clear all three super easily. We finish with the ship, and Chase gets us into the back of the chasm. End shows up in a cutscene place where Kyurem and Zekrom combine. We have to defeat the spliced creature, but it ends up just being a Pampor, so no threat there. The real threat comes from Boss Man Getsus here though. Getsus has a full team of 6, so that is not a good sign. I think he's the first trainer to have 6 Pokemon anyway, and the only one if I believe. He leads with a level 60 Crustle. I attempt to high jump kick with Mienshao, but I end up missing, so that knocks off about half my HP. I attempt to then Drain Punch, but I got outsped and I got killed by an X-Scissor that isn't very effective. I honestly thought I was going to live, but rest in peace, Mienshao. This is an awful start to the fight, my lord. I then did what I should have done in the start and killed it in one shot with a Surf from Kingdra. Next comes out Graveler, who I heal on and then give him the same treatment as the Crustle. Then out comes the Escavalier, so I Surf, and it does about 1/3, but Escavalier sets up an SD on me, so in a bit of a panic, I try and kill it off with a Hydro Pump. Surprisingly, I'm able to hit the Hydro Pump, and next out comes an Abomasnow. I try to get the Scald Burn on him, but I end up getting frozen instead. I swap to Cresselia, heal up Kingdra, and swap back into Kingdra. I Dragon Pulse in between healing turns, and I am able to knock out Abomasnow, and next he goes into a Machop, so finally a little bit of a breather in the fight. So Kingdra stays in and I just one-shot with Surf. Lastly is his final Pokemon, a Shelmet, which also dies in 2 Surfs. So basically, besides from our little fucky-wucky at the beginning, Kingdra ends up soloing this fight. Oh well. With Getsus' plans being thwarted, Team Plasma is officially defeated. The last remaining challenge for us is the Elite Four and the Champion. So I decided to make my way towards the last route of the main game, which is Route 23. I do have 2 losses on this route though. First loss is my Vanillux to a Sacred Sword from a Terrakion, which, to be honest, I probably shouldn't have stayed on with. I thought I could tank it. And then I lost my Absol to a Thrashing Ursaring, which really sucks. But maybe it was the game telling me I haven't lost enough Pokemon yet. I definitely could have avoided both of these deaths if my overconfidence didn't kick in. I thought my Pokemon were invincible. And obviously, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Thankfully, at least I get through the rest of the route without any other fatalities. And I do the badge check real quick, and I make my way to the Pokemon Center right outside of Victory Road. I use this opportunity to restructure my entire team. So basically, the Vanillux, Absol, and Mienshao that died have been replaced with Abomasnow, Draydon, and Golduck. I level them up to the rest of my team's levels, which is around 60 by this point. Going through the Victory Road, I didn't lose any Pokemon, but I got really close several times. Also, my Victory Road encounter was a Tangela, which I don't really care about at this point. I still catch it regardless though. I make my way through Victory Road very slowly, healing up after almost every single trainer because I don't want to take any more risks this late into the game. I make it to the end where I have one last rival battle with Hugh. His team is really high leveled, ranging from 65 to 68, but the only heat he's carrying is his Staraptor starter, and this Ambipom that brings my Kingdra down to 7 HP. Besides that, he has a Dwebble and a Spoink, so easy peasy lemon squeezy. I heal up my team, give out my items, buy potions, and then I'm ready to take on the Elite Four. So unlike in previous titles, you can challenge the Elite Four in any order, but I always tend to go left to right, so that means first up is Chantal. So as a bit of a side note, so I don't have to go over levels every single time for these Elite Four members, all of them have 4 Pokemon, all of them being level 67, besides from one of their Pokemon each, which is their 69 Ace. But that just means I don't have to keep explaining what levels these Pokemon are at. So getting into it, Chantal leads with a Golem, and I lead with my new Golurk. Turn 1, we exchange Earthquakes, bringing each other low. Thankfully, I outspeed the Golem, and I'm able to get off another Earthquake, killing it. Out next comes Meganium, so I swap into my Abomasnow. I'm able to chip it down over time with the Ice Shards, and the Meganium barely puts up a fight. Next up comes her ace, a Pidgeotto, to which I respond with my own ace, Kingdra. I knock it out in 2 hits with a Surf and then a Scald, and then last up is a Spoink, which gets 2 shots from Scald. And with that, I'm done with the first Elite Four member. Now it's on to Grimsley after healing up. Grimsley leads with the Dusknoir. I swap to Kingdra as usual. Dusknoir is pretty tanky, taking 3 Surfs like a champ. It, however, wasn't as offensively strong, so I played the patient game with it and knocked it out. Next is a Sudowoodo, which Kingdra crit Surfs and destroys in 1 turn. After that is a Darmanitan, who suffers from the exact same fate as that Sudowoodo did. And last up is a Typhlosion, which, you guessed it, gets a 1-shot surfed. I got extremely lucky with the weakness to water type that Grimsley had. It feels great to be able to sweep someone's team for once. Now I fight against my personal favorite of the 4, Caitlyn, though after this battle the decision may be changed. She leads with an Ursaring, but swaps out to Shiftry against my Golduck. I decide to stay in after seeing how much my Hammer Arm did to it, bringing it into the red. After Caitlyn pops her full restore, I decide to not play with fire too much and swap out to Garbodor, finishing Shiftry off with a Sludge Bomb. She brings out her ace Azelf, and this is when shit hits the fan. I swap into Druddigon and then into Kingdra after seeing how much Azelf did to my Druddigon. Then my worst nightmare happens as Kingdra gets critted by an extra sensory and dies. My ace that stuck around since Cresselia has finally left the team. Rest in peace, Kai, you brave motherfucker. I next try out Cresselia and get scared by the nasty plot Azelf sets up twice. I try the same with my Charge Beam, and thankfully Azelf can't do too much damage to Cresselia, even at +4. This gives me time to set up, but I got super unlucky when Azelf happened to high roll twice and Cresselia goes down. I could have easily avoided that if I just played safer, but I'm an idiot, so I should have waited for a low roll. I finish off the job with my Abomasnow's Ice Shard, but at what cost? Out comes Ursaring again, only to kill my Abomasnow in 1 shot with a Hammer Arm. I'm literally down to half my team from just 2 Pokemon now, and I'm really feeling the pressure. I go back into Golduck, and Ursaring runs away again, this time into Kingler. I go back into Garbodor, I heal, and then I knock it out with a Thunderbolt. Ursaring cannot run away anymore, so out comes my Golduck, who Hammer Arms that little stupid Ursaring to death. I finally beat Caitlyn, but I lost half my team in the process. Now I'm left with only a Garbodor, Golduck, and Druddigon to my name. And I still have 1 more Elite Four member to take care of and a champion. Regardless, I press onwards to my fight with number 4, Marshall. Marshall leads with a Ditto, which I am able to score critical Earthquake on. Next comes Tropius, who I respond with Garbodor. 2 Sludge Bombs and a Lucky Toxic are enough to take out this fake flying type out. Next is the ace, a Venonat. I paralyze it with Body Slam, and then just continue to Body Slam until it dies. Lastly is a Registeel that I paralyze with Body Slam, and then swap into Golduck to kill with Earthquake. At least Marshall didn't fate any of my remaining Mons, thank God. Still, that means I have to take on Iris with just 3 Pokemon, so at this point, I just gotta hope and pray. I prepare as much as I can, and make my way up the stairs to Iris and her fantastic battle music. She leads with her level 68 Sharpedo, to which I swap into Garbodor so I can 2-shot it with Thunderbolt, in between healing of course. Up next is the not so scary level 68 Sandshrew, which I swap into my Druddigon to deal with. And when I say not so scary, I mean scarier than I thought. Because this is where things start getting tense, because Sandshrew kills off my Druddigon with an Earthquake somehow. So now I only have 2 Pokemon left. Golduck finishes off the half-health Sandshrew with an Earthquake of its own, and out comes a level 68 Dratini, an easy opponent that falls with just 1 EQ. Even less scary than the Dratini comes at a level 68 Kakuna. So, what are you gonna do? Harden? And as expected, it dies to just a single EQ. Bringing it back to reality, she throws in a level 68 Raichu, but the type matchup is in my favor. Do you guys smell that? That smells like another EQ Oko coming in. That was awful. Last comes out her ace, a level 70 Shuppet. I heavy slam it, it hangs on with a sash, she heals it up, so I just heavy slam it again, and it knocks out the Shuppet. And I'm done. I finished. I beat Iris. With luck on my side finally as well, because if she had slightly better Pokemon, I would have been done for and this would have been an L. But luck is a part of skill, so I'll take that W even though I didn't play very well, and I probably don't deserve it. This run was really fun, with a lot of M. Night Shyamalan type twists and turns that I didn't expect at all to add to the flavor of the experience. The true MVPs of this run were the Dewott that I had early on in the game, my Kingdra that carried me through the mid game, and then finally Golduck for closing out the match with Iris. I'd also like to thank Potions and the fact that this was in a hardcore Nuzlocke, because half of my game relied on potions. Don't worry though, as the next challenge will be a little less forgiving than this one. But you'll just have to wait and see for what that is. Thank you all so much for watching. My name has been Kaiser, and as always, peace!